Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
How
Hello.
are you doing?
We can't
Good.
see you. Can
And
you,
this is Ricardo.
This is
Ricardo?
I in the flesh.
And
How are you? This is what a great environment. I love this. I love this.
and
And
this
is
G.
Jean the tech man?
Yes, it's
Yes,
right
yes.
there. G.
Yeah, I go by Jean.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Hi, nice to see you. Or meet you.
Hello, how are you? This is like such an amazing background.
Yes,
Fantastic. I
Ricardo's video.
wondered, and oh, let me do my start video. Okay, there we go. All right, now I'm wondering how we want to do this. Do you want to have a run through today and then do it tomorrow, or what do you want to just go ahead and do the story now because we're all here? We could do that and just
We can do the story now.
Yeah.
okay, fantastic. And then I just need to wrap up by 2:50 to get on a. I'm doing a Zoom interview on a story we're doing. So I think that everyone's there, and this looks what an engaging studio, and this is exciting. And thank you for getting this all orchestrated and thinking of us. And I think this is so fresh. I love the studio the studio background. So I guess, Leo, if you want to do an introduction to Ricardo,
Okay.
who is your gallery director, an artist you followed and represent, and then you can just do a brief introduction. Paper City, we're very involved in the Texas art world, and then I've been at the magazine for 22 years, which is kind of crazy. So, but then the main one is we'll then go ahead and jump in with some questions and talk about the Ricardo's exhibition coming up at the Community Artists Collective, and I've got all my notes here, so we can just kind of do that, and we'll be organic and flow and talk about the work, and yeah, we'll just go for it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Leonides Rosa Molinar. I am the founder of Leonides Art New York. It's an artist-run gallery. I'm just
The
babys-
ringmaster of this circuit.
babysitter. Today, I want to present Ricardo's Mona Francis, born in the Third Ward in Houston, Texas. He's a pure Houstonian.
I am.
He is also a director of my gallery. He is a revolutionary artist.
Am I?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
We like revolutionaries, and we love Third Ward. This is the heart of Houston and home of Project Row Houses. The Rick Lowe's MacArthur winning project, and it's one of our very celebrated neighborhoods. And also, we're thinking, and I'll interject this now because I know a lot of your work addresses this, Ricardo. It's the home of George Floyd, so the Third Ward is a very celebrated part of Houston, and it's because of Row House, the neighborhood has still remained intact. Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's also a graduate of HSPVA.
Now
Yes, PVA. Wow.
it's now Kinder, if I'm not mistaken.
The Kinder, right? Yeah.
And did his bachelor's degree at
The
the
Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore.
in Baltimore.
Yes.
And our video person is an artist also. He's my video artist.
Brilliant.
His name is Jean Sonderand, and he'll be shooting this interview with Miss Catherine Anspon, which is the editor of art and culture at Paper City magazine in Houston, Texas. It is a privilege for me to finally meet her. We've been going back and forth by text and phone for
We've
over 2 years.
become friends. We
Yeah.
have become, and I think that's, kind of wonderful. With the technology has really fostered that.
Yes. And she has been following the career of LeonidesArts New York because we do projects at the Community Artist Collective.
With Michelle,
With
yes.
Michelle Barnes, which is a wonderful director and a great artist in her own right also. We've been trying to get her to join LeonidesArts New York, where I can represent her. Also, we were picked to join artsy.net. It is a premier art platform for emerging galleries and established galleries like Goshen and auction houses like Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips. So I want to introduce you to Mr. Francis here, who has been during these turbulent times, has decided to create his art named 2020.
Well, I didn't have much of a choice. I mean, life has been pretty crazy worldwide. I mean, no one can say that they didn't experience something out of 2020. We all witnessed so much in the past year, and still to this day, we're witnessing history. I mean, Trump's second impeachment, all of the unfortunate deaths of in the year 2020, and all the Black Lives Matter movement, which I believe has been boiling up anyway. And last year, I do believe that when history is made, it is because people innately need to move on to the next phase.
Since I'm from the generation of the Great Society with Lyndon Baines Johnson, another great Texan.
The Great Society, and maybe artists can be into the next Great Society, right?
Yes, and
We're always part of society, though.
but artists usually represent, they're almost like a mirror of things that are going to happen and witnesses.
Yeah.
And artists are intuitive to what's going on. Ricardo is one of those artists, and so is Jade.
I try. I mean, I like to, in terms of what I do, I believe I don't like to be overtly political. I like for people to have, to be in a quiet, meditative mindset looking at what I do. So I'm more interested in taking things that people may take for granted, and I highlight that. I think people overlook their own selves, their own place in the world, the quiet moments and whatnot when they're alone. And those are the most intriguing to me as an artist. So I'm always, if you see in any of my paintings, there's usually a solemn figure looking at themselves, or they're in a state of self-reflection.
It's self-reflection. And how long have you been doing this type of work, Ricardo? Has your work sort of changed in terms of how you use the figure? Because I know the figure is, and the narrative is one of the calling cards of your work, but have there been more a sense of the figure as a self-reflective element, or?
I'm definitely into classicism.
Mhm.
And like say Roman and Greek sculptures or whatnot are still to this day like something I'm intrigued by. Just a pose can mean so much. To one person, it can mean something completely different to the next. And so that's really special and intriguing to me.
I love the work behind you. This is, there's a sense of, beauty and celebration and feasting.
Oh yes, this is my what is it? My portrait of the last 4 years with Trump. So
Oh, goodness.
yeah, well, as you can see, Trump here is I think a macaw or a spider monkey. Well, then you can see the hair here, and I love Dutch still life paintings, so I decided I didn't want to paint him directly, but he is an animal in many ways. So I thought,
You know what? I think that your work is one of the things where, like, I was drawn in by this sense, and now I'm looking, like the viewer, we're looking more closely,
yeah,
and we can kind of see this figure where it's not all right in the mythological world, this whole thing. And then there's the skull. It's sort of an image of vanitas and fleeting life. And the birds are, I don't know, are those, you don't know if those are doves or pigeons or, you know, you know, there's a sense of reading this, the painting, and, you know, then there's almost a sense of people gorging. There's so much there, and then other people probably don't have that much. I don't know. It just seems like we've been in an era of so many people are, it's excess and people being super out of touch, certain people.
Yeah. And of course, as with the Dutch, you can see the skeleton right there.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this is all like revealing itself. And then I see your, you know, there's looks like a little bronze figure, something from Pompeii here, you know, this, and then we're thinking also of the Roman Empire. Are we going to, like, the end of the Roman Empire? Is Caligula leaving the house? Are we going to get back to the age of the Roman Republic? I just think, and then this is so interesting. Is this painted on here, this USA? What does it say?
Oh, that actually is, I work in acrylic and mixed media collage. So yesterday when I was here, because believe it or not, I'm still working on everything.
We're still working on everything. Now, are these works that we're looking at today, are they headed to Houston for the show at Community Artists Collective?
Most of what you'll see in the studio here is headed to the collective for the exhibit. There might be a couple of pieces that are not connected to the show, but most of what's on the walls here are definitely going to the collective.
Well, this is and then what is this USA? I mean, I think this is, did you just add that on there? Is
yesterday. That was yesterday. I saw there was a box being thrown away. It was actually by I think a fashion company of some sort. And the text on the box for me, I was like, oh my God, I gotta use
USA Strong.
And when I saw USA Strong, I said, oh, this sounds like Trump. This is something he says all the time. For me, this piece is intriguing and probably one of the most unusual out of this series, because.
And I see that is that an actual dollar bill on there, or the dollar bill painting?
It's play money. It's play money.
Play money. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I saw there's like a dollar store near where I live in Jersey City, and they have like all kinds of like knickknacks and things that children would get to play with or whatnot. And I saw that there was play money here, and I said, you know, this would be interesting as a collage element. And there was no reason in any of the other works I was making at the time to add the money until I did this painting. And when I was going through my collage materials again, I ran across the play money again, and I said, oh my God, this is the perfect piece that calls for having money, the play money here, to be in it. So
we should look at your Black Lives Matter also,
sure,
which is very
oh, look at,
interesting.
Wow, this is, and so is this with the angel? What a beautiful, and take us through this work, and, you know, sort of talk about who is the lead figure. Who do you see that as being, and who do you see the angel as being?
But that's the thing, believe it or not, the pose comes from a United Benetton ad from like 10 years ago. And the people, I just swapped them out for other people because I thought that the duo that was there, they didn't really fit visually what I really wanted. But I wanted to make sure that the figure that's holding the angel was white, a white male, and I wanted the angel to be a Black female. Now, what's funny is that this painting, some people think that the female is, the angel is possibly male, and I actually kind of like the confusion that's there. You're not really sure what sex she is, but
Angels don't have sex.
I heard that. Yeah, I think you told me that. But when I was painting this, I really I fell in love with the idea of you're not sure if the angel figure is holding him up or if he's holding her up. So, and I do believe, and it's such a beautiful sight to see nowadays that all races for the Black Lives Matter movement are in this fight. They're in this movement. And I feel like when I was a lot younger, I'm not sure if this would have happened. I'm glad that it's happening now. And I felt like for what's going on, not only here domestically in the United States, but just worldwide, it's just, I had to make a painting for this series that reflects that in some way.
The nurse.
It's just a very beautiful image, and you have this, it feels like there's a sense of love and protection. And then you have more of these beautiful collage elements, but there's definitely an emotion, and it feels a sense of unity you've conveyed. And of course, you think about, having George Floyd as a martyr, and, all these protests around the world. And, one person can change what goes on in the world, and one life can affect millions of people, and one narrative can really change. It shifts a consciousness.
Right.
And we are in a consciousness shift. And what's happening in DC, I have a gentleman I date, John Walker. He's very perceptive, and he said before, when Black Lives Matter was beginning, he said this is really the end of the Civil War. I mean, the Civil War never ended. People never were free. These are the last days of the Civil War, where we're looking for equality. And when people stormed the Capitol, they were with the flags of this Confederacy, which is, these are people that they're from another era, from another consciousness. And we just have to, get this. It's like toppling things. This energy has to be removed. It's like an infection. It has to be removed. It has to be cleaned. These things have to be cleaned out. They have to be discussed.
Yes.
And the work is so beautiful, because you see people coming together. And this painting feels so good. This is where we want to get to in the country, in the world, where people can feel really good about what's going on. And what does being American mean? There are times when we felt really good about that. The last time I think people have felt really good about being American, when you tell the story of the concentration camps and the American GIs liberating the camps, we all felt really good about that. But then you're thinking about Black troops, white troops, the military was integrated, and when they came home, that wasn't the case. So we've got to look at what's going on in American history. We have to bring this all to light. And if we don't bring it to light, we can't come together. We have to talk about these things. And
well, racism is a generational curse, and unfortunately, throughout the world, it just the negative perceptions of other people have been put into like the next generation over and over and over again. And at some point, people know right and wrong, no matter what culture, race, society, how much money you make, any of that, a social status, what have you. Everybody knows right from wrong. Everybody knows that. So in terms of the thing of racism, I feel like what's happening now, and it's wonderful that you brought up the Civil War. We are beginning to look again at, what happened last Wednesday happened around the time of the Reconstruction period. And oddly enough, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm not that great of a historian, but there was the Red Jackets during that period. They stormed DC at that time and wanted white power. You know, they were from southern states or what so have you. So this infection it's been here before.
It's been here before, and may this be
The last time.
the last and the
Yeah.
end of it. And we
Yeah.
have to have these conversations, and then we've got to move forward. But if you don't have the conversation, we're just moving forward, and these things haven't been cleaned out. And I don't know what people need to do, and I don't know what the government needs to do, but we have to talk about it. And you know, we have to get diversity, and people have to know how good that feels. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
everyone's got to be included.
People have to listen.
Right. I
also.
mean, people need to, and even politically, if they agree with what Trump is all about, and or Republicans and Democrats and the other, everyone needs to put their big boy pants and or dresses on and listen to each other and respect each other, even if what they're saying does not exactly fit what you believe. You'll be surprised by just simply listening. You can change someone's heart and someone's mind.
Their consciousness.
And their exact, thank you, Leo, their consciousness, exactly.
And I also feel people need to be more together. We need to know each other. We need to be gathered together. I mean, we really need to, the country needs to be more integrated, and Houston's a multicultural city, but we still need to do more things together, you know? We've got to all know each other and really find this exciting new world where this cultural richness is celebrated, and there's also a sensitivity. You know, we have to understand, you know, the American journey and be able to talk about it and acknowledge it, and move forward. And your work is very, you know, you're taking us through these different emotions, you know, from this, you know, troubling banquet to someone that's very uplifting. And let's really look at our neighborhoods too. Let's encourage artists, you know. And then this is a beautiful one. This, you know, this lovely, who is this woman? Is she looks, I don't know, this strong woman. Who is she, Ricardo?
I'm still trying to figure her out. She was in the first stages of the pandemic, especially here in New York. She actually was not a nurse. She just was it was a image I found in I think it's a fashion magazine, if I'm not mistaken. And I fell in love with her just the pose alone. So I painted that, and I painted her as a twin. And some of sometimes in my work, I will paint a single person as their own twin. And I do believe that there's an ego and an id inside everyone. So in this case, one is masked and the other is not masked. And it wasn't until this painting was towards the end of me creating it that I realized that she was a nurse. It was like
You just, you know, channeled her energy. And you know, she's a very confident woman who's looks like she's, you know, really very, as you used the word earlier, self-reflective. And you know, as a person who's a calling, a healer, someone like that. And then there are stars. They look like they're stars and some, you know, like literally, like if she feels like she's part of a constellation in this cosmology, a person who, you know, maybe a lot of people orbit around, where she's, you know, a very strong, you know, this is a very strong, you know, Black female figure.
With the gloves, you could see the gloves and the red cross in it.
Yes. And
I mean, that's one of the things you should talk about with your work, Ricardo, is
the
amount of detail that you put into it. That's kind of hard to appreciate over.
And this is really very beautiful, the surface and the patterning. And then there's the years 1920. Is that a reference to the suffragette movement? You know?
Actually, my thoughts on it was actually of the pandemic between 1918 to 1920.
The Spanish flu.
The Spanish flu, yes. However, though, around that time, there was a ton of things. It was the end of World War I around that same time.
It was, and World War I was 1917, 1918.
Okay, yeah.
So we had the beginning of the age of excess also, before the Spanish flu came.
Yeah, the 20s. Well, you know, as a woman, it was 100 years ago that women were able to vote. That right was not always given to Black women, even though they were very involved in the suffragette cause. So this is a person that I see. And then I'm also thinking literally about people like Stacey Abrams in Georgia, who was thwarted through, you know, voter manipulation and, you know, not franchising everyone in an earlier election. And she went on to become, you know, one of the heroes of our time. And who would think that the state of Georgia would change the whole balance of the US Senate, right?
Yeah, you're right. But see, this is, again, we're witnessing history, and the beautiful thing is people, I think, are beginning to think outside the box. They're beginning to think outside their normal parameters, you know.
It's the millennials, it's the new generation.
That's very true, but I also believe that because of the millennials and the current, you know, the current generation, that then seeps into the other generations before it. People are learning again to look and to listen and to register other types of people. Other types of people are here in America. We're all part of this microcosm.
Your grandmother, who you know, worked as a maid.
She did, yeah.
In those early days, she had respect, and she taught you respect for everyone,
right?
No matter what color
exactly.
they were.
Yes.
And I think we forgot that when that was one of the things with the Great Society, that the Great Society opened up all these opportunities, and they wanted to remedy a lot of it by just giving away money, when they should have also said, yes, you could we can help you, but you got to learn how to help yourself.
Right.
Like in your Baptist classes, where they told you, what was it? It's better to, what is it? It's better to fish, get your own fish.
Yes, learn to fish. I know what you're trying to say.
Teach a man to fish, then or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. No, it's true.
Do you know what it is,
It's very
Catherine?
true.
Catherine?
Oh, yeah, I think it's better to teach a man to fish, then they can take care of the family for a lifetime, something like that.
Yes.
Give them a fish. It's interesting, but you know, like, what will the next great society be? I mean, can we have artists? And I see then what was also really interesting and impressive about your work, and for both of you, you've been, you know, the gallerist is an activist, Ricardo is an activist, and your work, you've often, you know, you bring this community, you curate, you are putting platforms for other artists and a community dialogue. Why don't you talk about, you know, sort of those ideas and what you both have done as activists, and, you know, kind of bringing in community, because this is a unique gallery, and Ricardo's work as a curator too, for both of you. Yeah.
Are we activists?
Well, you're an activist in the way that, as I told you, your voice is in your art, in your presence. When you talk to other artists, the artists that have come to me have come through you, have come through Jean, have come through other of them. I have, 4 artists in Texas because of you.
Yeah, and I've known them forever.
Indigo was the one.
New,
Yes, he's new, and he lives in the area where
Sunny Side, I believe.
yes, where the first Black community was formed under the GI Bill, where Blacks in Texas could own property and have their own houses. The only thing that they didn't do was put in the sidewalks and put in the streets, which the families there built. So he lives in an original home that came from that era. And the area is now mixing also with Mexican Americans that are there and Black Mexicans, which another of my artists is I'm working to get him a grant, Jason Jackson, to go to Texas and begin interviewing and photographing Black Mexicans, which there's a large community
There is.
there
Yeah.
in Texas,
Houston,
in
especially.
Houston, yeah. And then for him to go to Mexico and in the state where they are, that's close to Guatemala, where to photograph and talk to them and see what their plight is with the racism, the Latin racism that exists. I'm Latino. My mother is Panamanian. My father Puerto Rican. I was born in the Canal Zone in Panama.
Oh, wow.
So I have that mixture in me.
So you have that mixture and that that being part of Latin America
Yes.
too.
And so there's Black and Muslim and Kuna Indian and Taino Puerto Rican inside of me. And so educated in Europe. And so bringing all these cultures and different things, I never see color at all. And when I meet people, I want to know them.
Yeah.
So the activism is getting artists from there, like the ones in Texas, or my new group that's in Cleveland
In Cleveland, interesting.
right now, which I have 4 artists there that have been struggling and all that. And the gallery lifts them up and helps them create their artwork. And as Ricardo, as my director, then works with that. And now that I have Artsy, when we did We the People, one of my curators there, Rafael Cuello, who's Colombian, but was raised in Rhode Island, he is now my project director, and he'll be working at uplifting the my artists on Artsy on the platform. So international collectors more can
see what we do.
can see what we do.
I think I want to answer your question about arts and activism. For me, I think the only thing that I could say I do is there is the ideas just for things come. I think for the We the People project. Just last year, what was happening politically, especially, was heartbreaking, moving, frustrating. You're a great deal of time. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to hear this man, that being Trump. I don't want to hear his voice or see him, or I don't want him to talk or this, that, and the other. And I'm tired of all the divisiveness and this, that, and the other. And from a conversation, you and I had a few times, I said, why don't we just do an art project? And it'll be called We the People. And that's how it was just born, from just being pissed off.
And We the People, when did that take place? Did that take place last year? Did you?
Yes. So I'm not even sure.
It was before the election. It was
way before. I think
last week of October.
Yeah. So the show was a virtual exhibition first, and it happened in 2 phases. It opened on October the 12th, and then the following week, the second installment of work was put online. And there's actually, the show is still up on WeThePeopleArtShow.com. So it's artists from not only here in the US, but other parts of the world.
Poland, Venezuela, Ecuador, Hawaii.
And we ended literally on the day right before the opening. We had a projection of selections of the work in Union Square in
Jean
and
helped with that.
Yeah, and with the illuminator, and that was like our icing on the cake for the exhibition. And to me, I don't see what I do as activism. I just see it as there's a great idea that's floating in the air, and it's my job to get it, receive it,
You pluck it,
pluck it from the tree of life, and try my best, my very best to try to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, the tabula rasa.
the tabula rosa.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the table and everything.
This is so interesting. Now, I'm curious, are you, in terms of your exhibition opening at the Community Artists Collaborative, it opens on January 28th,
Yes, Thursday.
and Community Artists Collective. Now, are you coming down for the exhibition?
No,
We're go-
I'm saddened by that,
we
but
were going,
too many COVID restrictions.
but Michelle and I, we had that conversation,
yeah,
and because of health concerns,
Yeah.
mine and Ricardo, she said that it was too risky,
and just in general.
and she didn't want to expose her the people coming to the event.
Yeah.
Because when Ricardo shows, he gets a lot of people.
A lot of, well, you have,
It'll
mean,
be mostly
sure
a family reunion though.
yeah, you have everyone. And so that opens on a Thursday night. And then are you all going to be doing some programming, some talks?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe this is sort of a little kickoff to everything. And then what's really great is I see it's on for, good 2 months through March 27th. Yeah.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, one can actually physically go to the space during the exhibition hours and right through the collective. So you go to thecollective.org to find out what those times are. So it's possible to see the work in person. However, on the opening, it will be a Zoom event.
A Zoom event.
Yes, and Dr. Michonne Benson, if I'm not mistaken, she's going to she's going to moderate an artist talk. So I'll get to answer questions to the general audience, whoever is coming to the opening reception. They'll get to the work will be there. I will be there in spirit though.
You'll be there, and you'll be there on Zoom, and I feel like we all get connected now.
But their programming there is that while he is talking, you'll be in the gallery seeing the paintings on the wall of the gallery.
So it will be very interactive. Now, let's the magazine is working on the March issue. So since the exhibition's up through March, let's pick an image that we can feature in the magazine in the print issue. Which would you think would be kind of one of your seminal images? Would it be the angel one? Do we want to use that one? What do you think?
Ooh, I would think either this one or the George Floyd family painting, which is right outside my studio here. And before we in this call, I definitely would like for Catherine to see that one. It's right outside the door here.
Let's look at.
We're gonna open the door.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this is the beautiful. The truth is the light. Wow.
The light is the truth. And actually that phrase comes from Ralph Ellison from the Invisible Man novel that he wrote, I believe in the 60s. I was thinking a lot about him because I remember reading that book in high school and I fell in love with how lyrical that book was, or it rather is, I should say. And it was a great read from beginning to end. And so as I was finishing this piece, I felt like it needed something to really add to what it already was saying, essentially. And when I ran across this phrase again, I that was exactly it, that exactly was the accent that I needed for this piece to really make complete sense.
This is very beautiful, and they're all reunited. What is the name of the writer again, Ricardo? The name of the writer is
Ralph Ellison.
Ralph Ellison. Okay,
Yes.
I will.
Invisible Man is the book.
Yeah,
The Invisible Man.
yes. It's
Well,
a very,
let's,
it's a very iconic book
Yeah.
about really about Black Lives Matter. I mean, that was it was a was it fiction? It was a fiction,
Yes, it
right?
was fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fiction that was really a realistic fiction.
It's very relevant to what's going on now. And again, as I've been working on this show, he has, that book has just come up so much, and a lot of some of the other work from the show, there'll be references to that novel in the work, for sure.
and when did the novel come out? It was,
Ooh, I want to say mid 1960s.
Yes,
oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's
old now at this
it
point.
was before or during the Great Society when there
Great
was this debate.
Society.
Yeah,
Before I was
Well,
I was here
Or you-
already before all of you. So
well, the different generations. Well, I think we should, go ahead and, we loved having this conversation today. And this is really the perfect image for your exhibition. And we'll, plan on getting this in high res. And then I'm wondering, what do you both want to say, sort of, I would say, kind of what do you want viewers to think about with your show, or what message do you want to send to them? Let's,
Mm.
about art and our times and how art can change our times.
for me, art, when I started Leonides Arts, which I really didn't want to do, but the artist Mark Vincent came to me and convinced me to start it. I felt sorry for the way in America, especially artists are treated like they are when a daughter or son says to their parents, I want to be an artist, their eyes glaze over because they believe that they're going
Be a
to
very
be
difficult life.
poor and they're going to have a difficult life and they're not going
And
to
be misunderstood.
yes. So this is why I got into that. And art does resonate, it has impact. And people remember an image, just like a word has power,
Mhm.
an image has power. And that's the reason why I believe art is relevant. And I support my artists no matter what. Ricardo?
For me, I was asked this very same question not that long ago about this show, and I said in that interview that I don't want this to be a depressing show. I want there to be hope. I want there to be reflection. I want there to be a lot of thought by anybody that comes to see the show. People come as they are to it. But that's been always my modus operandi with any show, any exhibition that I do is you already have your prejudices, you already have your thoughts, your judgments, your perceptions, and you come to something that I do, and I hope that you come away a bit more enlightened by what you see, a bit more open to open your mind to seeing something that you either have seen before and thought of it in a different way, but in seeing it here, you see a more honest, more truthful representation of the individual or the idea that's there.
Or life,
So,
because
yeah.
in the show we have Anthony Fauci,
Yeah,
and
Dr.
we have
Fauci's in the
the Chinese doctor
that discovered COVID-19.
told that the world that COVID existed and he was punished and then he died of the disease.
Mhm.
So Ricardo has expanded a way, including everyone in the narrative of 2020.
There's so many other people I probably could have covered, but there's not enough time for that. I mean, last year was really tumultuous. I mean, I probably could make another 3 or 4 shows off of this year alone.
And I lived
So-
during the riots and the things of the 60s when I would watch a black and white, my Xenos TV.
And I remember hearing my mother speak
the
about
riots
that.
and Martin Luther King's and the killings of all that,
Yeah.
the assassinations. So to seeing that and have lived from that and the 20th century to now the beginning of this century, and I seeing that there is still hope out there. Not everyone is bad.
No.
You know, it's just people have to understand each other.
And I always, like Leo says, and I completely agree, there's more Americans are giving and kind and helpful, and I really hope that anyone that sees the show, they see that same spirit.
Yeah.
That is in the American spirit that I know that really is there. What we're seeing with some groups is horrible and horrendous and scary, but
that's not America.
that is really not America. That is just, I believe, people that need or don't know what love really is. They maybe not have had it in their life fully yet, or they're misunderstood. And to some degree, and there was actually a 60 Minutes interview with Representative Angus King from Maine, and he said, we need to listen to their grievances. And I actually, to some degree, agree with that. I think that to stop what's been happening, we have to, again, listen, hear out, and give some level of hope and try to give proper advice to those that you don't agree politically or socially, but you have to lead by example.
Well, it's really interesting.
One moment. One of my best friends in the 1970s, he was my driver. He was a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, whoa.
And him and I would talk, and I would listen to what he said, and I would say whatever. And believe it or not, in a year's time, we ended up being good friends. And I would tell him, I said, what are people back home in Maryland going to think? And he would tell me, excuse the language, fuck you, everyone. He says, you are a nice guy and you taught me something. So I do believe that people can change.
Yeah. And when he told me that story, I actually didn't want to believe it, but
I showed you the Ku Klux Klan cards.
He did. But again, I do believe that people can change, and I do believe that the anger that's out there, it was stirred up. It was stirred up by this president
and others
that was complicit,
enablers,
and enablers, and this is what happens when dangerous rhetoric is floating in our universe.
Words have power.
Words do have power.
I always tell you that. You can always remember a word.
Yeah.
They could hit you, and you can forget about it to a certain point, but a word is like a seed.
It is.
And it just grows.
And it grew, and it became what happened last Wednesday, and what is happening a lot politically lately. So I'm hoping that we get past this tumultuous time and really
we can get to the, I was going to say, and just kind of finish with this, in Houston, we had the show about the Mandela and at the Holocaust Museum and the history there. And you realize that when he became a president, he was able to not only forgive people that had jailed him, but he brought them into the government.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if you can do that there, we have to, as you said, listen, and people are capable of transformed. And you talked, Leo, about the example of the driver who you had a very human, you were able to talk to him and you opened your heart to talk to him. Otherwise, he never would have gotten where he went if you had just shut down. So we have to be able to do that. And it's not easy. I would have a hard time doing that myself, but got to get there.
But
You know?
you're a very open person also. This is the first time I've met you publicly, and you have warmth and aspirations, and that gives me hope that the people around you or the people that work at Paper City, uh, uh, see how you are and want to, get to that level of kindness and understanding.
Well, we have a wonderful team here. It's a diverse office, and we've all been together. It's like a family. Some of us have worked together for over a decade, and you have that with your colleagues, and just really a nice feeling. And we're diverse, and the magazine is, we stand for doing the right thing and being conscious, and taking a stance. Got to stand up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've really loved our conversation, and I'm really excited. It's an honor to visit with you, and I'm really excited that you invited, you reached out, Leo, and I feel like you've always, in all your communications, you have such a strong voice, a voice for doing the right thing and being aware. And I'm so happy to have met Ricardo, and that we're going to have your exhibition because of you both in Houston, and we'll look forward to running that beautiful image with the George Floyd family. And that's going to be very
on the cover, right?
We'll put it in the art column. The art column hasn't gotten to the cover yet, but we're working on it.
Okay.
Okay, it will be far forward in the magazine. Yeah. So anyway, take care. God bless you both. And we're excited about having these wonderful paintings and what they stand for in Houston, and both of you all, your spirits here.
Okay.
Take care.
I'll be contacting you about if you have any contacts at Houston Chronicle or
Yes, and Houston Press.
at Houston Press.
And Texas Monthly, especially Texas Monthly.
You know what? Our biggest contacts and my favorite person, I mean, Molly's is no longer with the Chronicle, I think, but I can get you with Glass Tire. They're great with Brandon, my buddy Brandon at Glass Tire. They're the voice of Texas art. So
okay.
we
But
can
find
do
Texas Monthly, please. We want their viewership.
Well, Texas Monthly is great. There are other journalists. It's sort of like Pepsi referring Coke. I'm not. I'll work with you with Glass Tire. Okay.
Remember, this is being recorded. So,
okay.
So it'll never be.
I can drink either Pepsi or Coke.
Okay.
It'll never be released. It'll never be released.
We'll work on the Glass Tire with Brandon Zeck. Okay. Take care. Bye. Bye. Thank you.